The next step we need to learn is effects. We briefly talked about this just a little bit when we we're going over the introduction, but let's go in and start looking at some of these effects. One of the best parts, or one of the best effects that we can use, are the transitions. These are just a set of different transitions that we can drop to make things go a little bit smoother. A lot of times a hard cut is perfectly fine, so these jumps between are perfectly okay to be using. However, sometimes we also do want to use different ones, like a dissolve, for example, a cross dissolve. If we add that, you'll see that the highlights between them, and that just makes it fade from one to the next. However, we do need a little bit of intro, otherwise it's going to have a freeze frame until we get to the part where it starts playing. So that's something to keep in mind on some of these effects. But it's really neat, and it allows us to make it flow a little bit better. Then we have some really sort of artistic ways of doing things. In color grading, we have a bunch of different ways to affect the colors of the footage. One of the neat effects in here that's actually for free is the day for night. We can drop that on. You see it does a pretty good job of making it look like it's actually nighttime. Some of them are better than others. For example, if we dropped it on this one, it's not the best because we have that sunlight, and the sunlight is hard to make look like moonlight in certain situations. But in other situations like this one as well, we get a pretty good effect from using day to night. So a fun little effect you can use there. Then we have other things if we want to go into like color correction. We have brightness and contrast, which is important. If we wanted to add some more contrast, we can drag this on. And now let's go over the controls, which is once we add an effect in, we're then able to actually control the parameters of that effect. Controls might be down here or it might be up here. If it's down here and you want to bring it up to the top, that's typically what I like to do. Let's say that it's this history one. You just click and drag and then drop right up there, and now it'll be up there. So it's a really neat thing to be able to just move these panels around. So if we open up that controls, we click on our footage, make sure we click on it, because you'll see if we click on different ones, different stuff appears up here. But we click up here, we then drop this down for effects, and you'll see we have brightness and contrast. Drop that down, and now we have the controls. So if we brought up the brightness a bunch, we can see it does exactly that. It brings the brightness up. If we want to see the before and after, we can just uncheck and check it. So of course we don't want to do this. This is a little bit on the extreme side here. So let's say we want to add just a touch of brightness here and maybe some contrast in here. We could go really stylized like this, try to make it like, you know, a silhouette, maybe bring the brightness down just a touch right here. And now we have this neat sort of silhouetted thing. And let's drag these over, drag this out a little bit so we can see more of it. And we have this pretty neat effect right here, actually. Yeah, so that's a neat way of doing things. We have that under color correction. We have different blurs and stuff, so if we wanted to add a blur to this, we can make it blurry as well. Again, making it sort of fit some sort of, maybe, I don't even know how to describe this. Maybe like you have this thing where it starts really blurry and it slowly comes into focus. We can actually do that with animation. And that is what we're going to be talking about in the next lecture.